guys, it's Kirsten. Sorry for a different angle and for all of the mess back here. This is not my normal filming spot. You can see actually right over here is where I normally film, but I'm actually sitting at my desk right now in front of my window because I'm going to be doing something different today, which is part vlog, part drawing demo. I'm also filming on my phone today, so sorry if I can't remember where to look all the time. But yeah, apologies for the mess. And if I'm a little this morning, I'm filming this before work, which means it's like 6 something right now, which is a little bit early for me to be coherent. But what I want to talk about today is something that comes up all the time. It's one of the most asked questions and topics that gets brought up with anyone I talk to, and that is about the types of materials I use. And specifically today, I'm going to be talking about breaking open the misconception that you need to have expensive tools to create a good piece of artwork or to be able to draw something that is, technically well done or impressive or skilled or whatever, like whatever you want to phrase it as. Because the reality is tools aren't meant to do the work for you. They're meant to enhance a skill that you already have. So if you are someone who doesn't know how to draw something and then you go and buy really expensive paints, that's not going to make you know how to draw something better. It's just going to make you equally frustrated for like way more money. So I want to talk a little bit about that because I think a lot of times people put too much faith in the tools doing the work for them, and it ends up being kind of this like endless cycle of thinking like, well, maybe I just haven't bought the right tools yet and that's why I'm not good. So you keep spending more and more money and getting more and more frustrated, when the reality is you need to work on the actual learning to draw process first, and then as you improve, start to invest in better tools. So I will admit, like, a lot of the tools that I use are kind of expensive sometimes. I will link down below and like up in the little thingy a video I did recently talking about my most used art supplies. And yeah, I'll admit some of my tools are a little bit more expensive, like my Moss Rico sketchbook, kind of expensive. When I used markers a lot before, I used Copics, which if you've used markers at all, you know those are insanely expensive. They're like $4 or $5 per marker, and I have like a few hundred of them. I do a lot of my digital work on an iPad with an Apple Pencil, and like that was an investment. I'll admit that. But I've also been drawing for close to 20 years, so it felt like things that were worth the investment for me because I'd gotten to a skill level where I was like, I want a little bit higher quality materials at this point. But that is super not necessary when you're first starting out. Like if you are just getting into watercolors, maybe don't pay for a Mosseri sketchbook. Like maybe don't buy like a full set of like tubed like Winsor Newton or Grumbacher watercolor paints. Like it's probably not something that's worth the investment initially, especially when you can get equally good results from like an inexpensive koi watercolor palette and like, I don't know, some Canson watercolor paper. I'll probably at some point do a video on like mid-range price art supplies, but today what I'm going to specifically talking about is very cheap art supplies. So this is a little bit of a challenge that I know has been around on the internet, especially in the artist community for like forever, but I figured I would do my take on it today, and that is doing a couple of demos with super duper cheap art supplies just to show that it's not about what you use. It's really just about how you use them and like the skill levels that you have when you use them. Because if you know how to draw something like anatomically, or you know how to create a certain character or anything like that, and you have a good sense of all of that, you can pull that off with cheap art supplies. Like you don't have to have crazy, crazy expensive stuff. Later on, if you want to, by all means, I certainly have. But in the beginning, you don't need to. So we are going to do the inexpensive art supplies challenge today with a couple of things that I picked up at Target. I figured Target's a pretty, like a universal store that a lot of people have access to, and I was kind of shocked like over the years how their arts and crafts supply like section has grown. So I felt like it had pretty good range. But I'm sure some of these things you could also find at like the dollar store or even at like Michael's. They have like inexpensive art supplies there, and a lot of times they have coupons and sales and stuff too, so I'm sure you could find a lot of this stuff like equally inexpensive somewhere else. But I'm just gonna do a really quick like unbagging of all the stuff that I bought and show you the prices of everything, and then I'm going to flip my camera around and do a couple of drawing demos and see see what I can come up with, and also see how much of this I can get done before I need to leave for work today. But yeah, let's get this done. I have a receipt with all the prices. Okay, so I picked up paper and then a few different drawing and painting supplies. I didn't do any like pre-drawing for this, which maybe I should have, to kind of show how to draw with the stuff and also how to color like a drawing that you've already inked. So I might like do one of those really quick at some point. Anyways, so for paper, I was originally just gonna buy like one of the cheap sketchbooks they had there, and then I saw this pad of paper, and this is a heavyweight mixed paper pad, and if you look on the side, it looks like there's 3 different types of paper. It doesn't like, I mean, there's not a ton of info on this anywhere, so it doesn't explain like what kind of paper it is, but if I had to guess, it looks like a watercolor paper. I don't know why I'm showing this, like this is not going to show up on camera, but it looks like a watercolor paper, like there's a little bit of a texture to it. The middle one looks like a very smooth Bristol paper, and then the one at the very bottom is kind of ridged, much like, I don't know, that's gonna, I don't know why I'm showing that, but it looks a little bit ridged, kind of like charcoal or pastel paper. If you're familiar with those like different types of paper, like if you look at this, it looks like that's in there. So I think this will give us a good potential variety of papers to try with the materials that I bought. And this pad cost $4.99, and you get 45 sheets. It's bigger than letter size, so $5 for this. And I draw really small, so for something like this, I would probably cut the pages in half or even in quarters and like stack them, and you would get, you know, hundreds of pieces of paper out of this. So I got that guy. I got a 24 pack of colored pencils. This is not Crayola because it was a little bit more expensive and I was trying to save a little bit of money. So this is the Up and Up brand, which is the Target brand. Their 24 pack was almost the same as the 12 pack of Crayola, so saving money. And this was $2.49 for 24 colors. Yeah, and I think these are, they're pre-sharpened. What a world when I was a kid. These did not come pre-sharpened, and we didn't have electric pencil sharpeners, so you had to be in the classroom with like the hand crank. With like, that's why we didn't have 24 packs back then, because it already took an hour to sharpen 12 of them. I bought this one's questionable. Like, I will admit, this one I kind of bought just as a challenge to myself. I'm not positive I'll be able to create something awesome with this, but I bought a pack of crayons. I haven't used crayons since I was probably in middle school. We'll see what happens with that. This one I'm not entirely sure about. But these were on sale for 50 cents. So if you know, we're gonna try something with this, because if I can pull something off with this for 50 cents, like, we'll see. I bought a 8 pan watercolor set. I splurged on the good stuff. This is a Crayola brand, the stuff the cool kids had. No rose art for us over here. Do they even make rose art anymore? Like, I don't know if that's a thing anymore. And this painting kit was $1.99. My concern about these would maybe be the quality, but not actually the color selection. Like, you would think like, oh, 8 colors isn't very much. Like, your watercolor pan has 24 colors. But the truth is, let me pop this off really quick. This has all of your primary colors in it and black, which means, oh my god, when did they stop making white? Remember they used to have white in here, and now it's like brown. Anyways, since you have all of your primary colors up here, you could theoretically mix any color you need if you know your color wheel. So we're gonna test the quality of it. The red looks a little bit pink, but I think we can make it work. And I will fully admit, I did not pre-test any of these. I'm just opening them all right now, so I didn't have a chance to like get good at it in advance. The last thing I bought from Target was this 10 pack of Bic ballpoint pens. A lot of people might not know this or might not remember it because I haven't posted it in a really long time on Instagram, but I do a lot of sketching and doodles in ballpoint pen, like just straight ballpoint pen. I think it's a really good challenge, first of all, because you can't erase your mistakes, but also ballpoint pens, since if you've ever drawn with them, if you draw lightly, they have kind of a faded line, and if you press hard, it's a darker line. So it's actually really good for sketching because you can kind of build up colors and like get a really nice effect to it that you don't get with like technical pens or gel pens and stuff. So I bought this just so I could do some doodly demos in ballpoint pen, because these are really great. These are, you can get really, really good effects. Like, a lot of artists I know use these. Like, I think it's, who do I follow? Life Illustrations. I'll link her. I'm pretty sure that's who I'm thinking of. She does like a ton of stuff in ballpoint pen, and it looks absolutely amazing because she's just a fantastic artist. And this whole set of pens was super cheap. I don't remember how much these cost. These were 99 cents. So this is $1 for 10 of these. This will last you forever. But yeah, that is everything that I bought for right now. I thought that was a fairly good representation of the tools that I use, minus the markers. Like, given the type of work I do, I will fully admit I didn't think Crayola markers would be super great. That doesn't mean there aren't lower cost markers for you to use out there, but Crayola markers, the options were pretty limited. But on a side note, that we're talking about cheap art supplies, if you are into hand lettering and calligraphy and like handwriting stuff, this, like, which I'm not great at but I know is super big right now, I have heard from quite a few people that the Crayola markers are actually really, really good for hand lettering. So if you're just getting into hand lettering, I highly recommend you check those out, because a lot of really big hand letterers on Instagram mess with those when they're practicing. So it's not a bad idea to keep that in mind. So I think that, yeah, that's everything. So I'm going to flip my camera around and figure out a filming setup, because I still honestly don't have a great demo setup ready to go. And I think I might also like prep everything and do a couple of pre-done drawings that are inked, so I can show you how to draw something like straight with like pen or with color pencils, but also how to color in something. I don't think that's cheating, only because like if you were to pre-draw something and ink it, like a pencil costs like 10 cents and a micron pen costs like $2.50, so that's still pretty inexpensive. Yeah, okay. Oh, I want to add, given that the first part of the video was like super long, I may do speed demos of everything, but I will do it all on camera. Like, I'm not going to cut stuff out so people don't think I'm like cheating or whatever, but I might speed up a lot of the demos because there's a lot of supplies to be trying. And I tend to draw much slower when I'm talking anyways, so if I just like zone in on it, I can get through it much faster. So anyways, yeah. feels like I'm drawing with like really waxy oil pastels, which are like an actual thing you can like spend a lot of money on. And I have, and I hated those too. This is the worst. Well, that was an experience. You know, honestly, that went a lot better than I thought I was gonna be able to do. Not that I like doubted the materials in and of themselves. I just felt like I wasn't totally sure how I was going to approach it because it's been so long since I've worked with anything like that that I was kind of put on the spot basically. But that was the whole point, and I think it actually turned out pretty well. Like I'm not entirely mad about how quite a few of these turned out. Like yeah, like this one is the most similar to what I would do like on a regular basis anyways. Like I sketch in pen all the time, but I gotta say, like if I posted that as a quick daily drawing doodle and didn't say that it was Crayola, like no one would know I did this with a Crayola palette. Like absolutely would not. The crayon, I mean, it doesn't look terrible, like I'm not mad about it, but not gonna lie, like if you don't have a reason to use crayons, I probably wouldn't. I know I wouldn't be able to draw a person with it. They get too flat too quickly, but it was pretty fun to do. So yeah, overall, like this down here, like these were not bad to use at all. And if you're in a place where like you're really financially struggling and you just can't spare the money for expensive supplies, but like you still want to practice, there's no reason you need to spend a ton of money on expensive stuff. Like this paper, I was shocked how much I liked this paper. Like I'm not throwing this away after, like I'm keeping this paper. I'm gonna cut it down and use it because this worked really well. Like even for the watercolor, like I had to get it pretty wet because I like my colors pretty pastel, and like it didn't really warp very much at all. Like it warped about as much as my regular like watercolor sketchbooks do, and it blended pretty nicely. Like it didn't really bleed a whole lot. Like I'm shocked how good this paper is, and this was just one of the 3 types that were in there. Like I have to test the other 2 and see, but this was not bad paper at all. And you know, same with these color pencils too. Like it takes a little bit more work to get blending down and to like build up light colors because they're a little bit more saturated. Like there's not as many shades, but like you can fully get like a full range with a 24 set like that. Like there's absolutely no reason to be spending tons and tons of money on supplies when you can't afford it or when you don't need it right away. Yeah, so that was really fun to do. I feel like I should do more challenges. Like I was actually quite a fan of that one. So if you have any suggestions for anything I can do in a future video, go ahead and leave that in the comments down below. If you have any questions or comments, go ahead and leave those in the comments as well. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a like, subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, and until my next video, I hope you guys have a great day. Bye!